So today, I want to talk about the number one mistake in spiritual growth and how can we fix it. We're going to explore today the two faces of spirituality, the balance between seriousness and joy, between deep inner work and lighthearted play. Because there are two sides to the coin of living. Most people, when it comes to spirituality, take the serious approach. They do this for good reason, because it deals with life's biggest questions. The questions like, who am I? That's a huge question. Why am I here? What is my purpose? These aren't small matters when you think about life. Yet, if we take life too seriously, it will become rigid, heavy, and even exhausting. I've noticed that in my journey to progress and teach spirituality, a lot of people embrace it with such seriousness, and they become so rigid that eventually they just leave it completely. They go backwards because they're not having fun. It's too exhausting for them. I've come to the conclusion that when we ask these deepest questions, like who am I, why am I here, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you some answers. Who are you? I'm going to tell you really quickly. You're an individualization of the infinite. You're unique. No one in the planet, no one ever will be like you. That's who you are. You're a unique expression of the infinite. Why are you here? To experience life in the only way you can, uniquely. What's your purpose? To experience life as much as you can with all of its fullness. There you have it. Play with those answers. See if they don't work for you. You're not here to leave a legacy of building an endowment and, let's say, building a library. That's not why you're here. You're here to experience life. It's that simple. But we make it so complex because we bought into the nonsense the society is telling us. And yet, on the other side of the coin, what if spirituality is all about play, about laughter, curiosity, and embracing life with the heart of a child? What if joy is not just a byproduct of spiritual growth, but an essential part of it? What if you could bring joy into everything you do? What if you could bring a playful attitude, a curiosity into everything you do? What would that be like? One of the things that my wife Jean says about me all the time, that's one of her favorite things. She says, you are such a little boy. And I make her laugh. I am spontaneous. We do things in the spur of the moment. I'll say things just to get her to giggle because sometimes she, like everybody, is just too friggin' serious. And in Van Wilder, they said, if you take life too seriously, you'll never get out alive. No, that's Van Wilder. That's a cheesy movie. But the fact of the matter is, it was telling us you got to lighten up. And in reality, we've got to find the balance. We've got to find the balance. Life is a two-sided coin. Serious and fun. Serious and fun. Serious and playful. Playful and serious. We've got to find the balance. So why do we take spirituality so seriously? Well, like we said, it deals with life's deepest questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And you know who can come up with the answer for that? You. Just a matter of you pursuing it. It also provides meaning in a chaotic world, stability in uncertainty. That's why people turned to religion at first. It gave them structure. When things were crazy, they could turn to this deity outside of them, knowing it's there to support them. What we teach at Agape is that that deity you're seeking is within you. You're a part of that deity. One of the things that I've come to understand is if you want to take an image of what God might be like, picture God as a television, a big, infinite television. And in it, it's got all these little LED lights. And all these little LEDs in there, individually, don't make much of a difference, but collectively, now there's the picture. Well, guess what? You're one of those LED lights. You're a part of that massive TV, and you make that TV whole. Think about it even deeper than that. You have 50 trillion LED lights in you. Those are the cells of your body. And that goes down and down and down. So when you're looking for your stability, realize you're a part of the infinite. And you're crucial to the infinite because you're a part of it. It created you out of it. It didn't create you out of something not it. It turned itself into you. We take spirituality seriously because it requires commitment, discipline, meditation, mindfulness, self-inquiry. It's a way of life. It's not something you do on Sunday. If you're watching this on Sunday, which probably not, most people watch this whenever they can because the world has changed. But spirituality is not just a one-day thing, a one-hour thing. It's a way of life. It's an absolute way of life. We take spirituality seriously because it challenges the ego. And awakening is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Until you awaken to you're more than the ego, you're more than the body, man, you're lost. You're a victim. And here's the thing, we take it seriously because it's a trap. Too much seriousness makes us rigid and heavy. And that's why people don't pursue it, because they haven't found a way of being spiritual with it not being rigid and heavy. So then, looking at it from that perspective, now let's reverse it and say, what is the role of joy and playfulness? Well, laughter, my friends, it dissolves the illusion of control. Wise teachers laugh often. I remember my first New Thought teacher, Reverend David McClure at Unity of Dallas. And one of the things in David's office that he had that was unique, he had pictures, all these pictures from all over the world of laughing Jesus. Have you ever noticed that if you go into a church, you don't see any pictures of Jesus laughing? And maybe that's why people, well, Catholicism, my God, Christianity, they make Jesus so serious. Jesus loved life. He loved to party. He was at the wedding having a great time. He enjoyed children. He loved living. The Dalai Lama laughs all the time. What it does is when you laugh, you're not going to take life so seriously. And you lose the illusion that you have to control everything. I love laughing at myself because I'm one funny person thinking I have this power or that power. In reality, I have none of that. Oh, you fool, Lee. I don't mean fool, but you got to laugh at yourself. Here's the other thing. Playfulness leads to presence. You ever notice how children live in the now? When you're fully engaged and you're playful, you're in the moment. If you're too serious, you're fighting to be in the moment. But if you're playful, you're there. What is it? See life through the eyes of a child. It's the only way you're going to get into the state that we call heaven. Heaven is that state of joyful connection to all that is. It's not a place. Heaven is a state of being. And when we're too serious, we put ourselves in hell. Why? Because we're judging. Children in play don't judge. Playfulness is really a state of love. Surrender, playfulness, surrender brings lightness. Let go. Flow with life. Life is like a river. When you go upstream, it's a bitch. But if you flow with it and you adjust with the current, life becomes easy and fun. Look at it this way. The universe is a dance. Life is a dance. It's not a struggle. Life is actually a cosmic play. And you're a character within the play. And you are doing extemporaneous acting. Why not be playful? Why be so serious? There are moments serious, a lot of moments of play. The trap here is that too much playfulness can lead to a lack of depth and grounding. So you see both. The role of joy and playfulness, there's a trap. In the role of seriousness, there's a trap. So the only thing that we can do is to find balance. And finding balance is the way of the soul. You see, in order to do that, we practice with discipline, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. If we miss our meditation by an hour or a day, no big deal. We just begin again. We don't beat ourselves up. We don't judge ourselves. Remember, love is the opposite of judgment, and judgment is the opposite of love. Discipline means I see the value, therefore I commit to the practice. So meditate, reflect, and engage in spiritual work, but also learn to laugh at yourself when you take things too seriously. Do things with joyful expression. Remember, challenges are a part of the game. Without challenges, there would be no contrast. If there were no contrast, we couldn't experience anything. Really understand that for the senses, and that's what does the experiencing, in order for them to experience, there has to be contrast. There has to be hot or cold. There has to be sad or happy. There has to be rich or poor. There has to be war and peace. There has to be contrast to have the experience of life. But in that, guess what? We were given the ability to choose. So instead of treating hardships as punishment or burdens, try viewing them as a part of the adventure, a part of awakening to your divine nature. Also finding balance. We have to let go of becoming careless. We've got to be careful that we're on the path. You see, surrender doesn't mean apathy. It means flowing with life while still being fully engaged. If disease comes your way, you flow with it. You admit, I have the disease, and then you flow with it, and you do what you believe is necessary to heal. Physical, mental, and emotional, and you cannot separate them. I know the medical profession wants to tell you that they've got the pill, and this is going to help you. No. The pill relieves the symptoms. You've got to change the way you think. You've got to change the way you feel about things. You've got to find balance. What is balance? Balance here is a state of relaxation. Do you get that? You know you're in balance when you're relaxed. The state of deep meditation is what? A state of balance, a state of relaxation. It is in the relaxation that the body, mind, and emotions heal. Here's another way of finding balance. Embrace humor as a part, or just embrace it as a spiritual practice. I look at humor as a part of my day. It's always a part of my day. And people say, well, how can you be this and then this? You're talking so seriously, and then the next minute you're doing this. You're contradicting yourself. No, you're making a judgment that I have to be serious all the time to be a spiritual teacher. I don't see it that way. I see it differently. Trying to see, when you're looking and you're trying to see the absurdity of life. When you do, you got to laugh at your ego. You got to laugh at your mind's constant chatter. You got to find joy in the paradoxes of life. Think about how funny it is that you think that if someone would behave in a certain way, you would be happy. And no one ever does, because no one ever is there to please you. Do you get that? Everyone on the planet is to live up to their highest values, and their highest values are different than yours. So what makes you think that they should be there to please you? Well, if that's the case, you're a narcissist. My wife is not here to please me, and I'm not here to please my wife. We're here to support each other's evolution into a greater level of awareness, sharing the journey and having fun. And darn it if we don't laugh at each other because we're darn funny. Another way of finding balance is stay open to new ideas and, man, be curious. Be curious about life. Be curious about, why do I feel this way? Why do I think this way? Why am I doing that? Ask those questions and you'll find out, man, I made some crazy assumptions. You see, playfulness is not about avoiding depth. It's about approaching spirituality with a sense of wonder rather than obligation. I don't know about you, but I don't like obligation. I do things because I'm free to do them and I've chosen to do them. And I'm wondering how much more of the infinite can I know in my life. So I want to give you some questions to reflect on as you go through your day, as you go through your journey. The first one is, does your journey feel heavy and serious? Or is there room for joy and lightness? Do you feel heavy and serious all the time? If you do, what would it take for you to make room for joy and to be light about it? Only you can answer that question for you. Next, how would your experience change if you approached them with curiosity instead of resistance? What would it be like to, instead of fighting against what you're facing, to ask questions and say, I'm willing to be wrong to find a new way of looking at this? That takes a big person to do that, to say, I'm willing to be wrong. But realize that everything that you believe, it's an opinion. So yeah, I would tell you, be willing to be wrong. And how much lighter would your journey be if you embraced flow instead of force? Instead of trying to force things and going against that, what if you flowed with it? And as you're flowing, you're adjusting where in the river you are, so it's a smooth and unique path that you're taking. You see, some of the greatest spiritual teachers that I follow have said some wise things. And one of my favorite teachers is Sai Baba. Sai Baba said, life is a game. Play it. Life is a challenge. Meet it. Life is an opportunity. Capture it. Do you realize you've been given life with the freedom and the power to live it any way you like? It's your game. You can create it. You can play with it. Challenges are part of the game. It's an opportunity to discover your infinite nature and discover heaven right here on earth. And then to finish it up, I like Lao Tzu when he says, nature doesn't hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Why are you running so hard to get things done? Why not be aware, be deliberate, be playful? And when your life ends, you will have accomplished more than you could ever dream of. And you will have done so in joy. And you're going to pass into whatever comes after this life with a big, huge smile on your face. And you're going to be able to say, as the great spiritualist Frank Sinatra said, I did it my